Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all in day 22 of internship program on IoT project development using industry grade microcontroller. Yesterday, we saw that how to build simple applications using MIT App Inventor platform. We built two applications. First one was to convert text into speech, and second was the gyroscope sensor values. In first application, we converted simple user input text into speech, and in second application, we collected data from a sensor which is already by default available in smartphones, which is gyroscope. And we displayed that sensor data X, Y, Z direction velocities on Android application. So today what we are going to do, we are going to interact with the Firebase real-time database with using MIT App Inventor application. So we are going to send and receive data at application. Okay, so simply we will start with that. So today we are going to build a first application. Total we are going to build 3 or 4 applications. In first applications, similar to yesterday's first application, we are going to take a user input and we are going to put that user input on real-time database. So what we will do, we will create new project. I will give name as user input to Firebase. Okay. Now what we will do, we will take a simple text box. We'll first create your user interface. I'll make it just center. The center. Now you can see that text box has uh, aligned in the center of the screen of smartphone. Now what we will do, the second thing is we are going to press a button to send data on real-time Firebase. I'll just take this button. I'll make a distance between two objects. I'll rename and remove the entire text and give some height as 20 pixels. Okay, so there is some distance between the user input and the button. I'll change the properties of this button. I'll rename this button to send button. And then I will change other attributes such as font size 20, X is send data. Okay, send data. I'll make font size of user interface as 20 also. And next thing is we have to add Firebase. To add Firebase into our application, we have to go to experimental. From experimental, you have to drag this real-time database, Firebase DB. Just drag this component into the screen. It will get added into non-visible components. After this, our user interface has created. The next thing is we want to create backend. So we'll just move to backend. And what we want to do, whenever we are going to press this button, the input given by user will send on real-time database. To this real-time database. So first thing is we'll select button because after clicking the button we want to send the data. So when we click this button, send button dot click, we will send a text. So We'll take as text box text. Okay. Now to send data on real-time database, you have to select this Firebase, and from there you have to call the functions available, which are the blocks. So to store the data on real-time database, use this uh, Firebase db1 dot store value. Okay, select this one and add to this under button section. Okay, we'll just understand the logic behind this first. So whenever you are clicking this button, you will call this function, which is dot store value. What it will do, it will store this value which we have attached to this value to store. It can be anything. We have given user input from text box one. We can give a string also. We will understand that also. A string can be anything, KJL. Okay, I can give any random string, a number string. Okay, it can be anything. Can be a number also. To give number, if you want to store any number on real-time database, you have to go to math, select this number block, and add any integer you want to add. Okay, we'll add integers. Okay, please understand there is difference between adding numbers and strings. Whenever you are adding strings, you must select this block. You can see double quotes. And to attach numbers or to store numbers on real-time database, you must select this number block from maths. To store string, you select this string block from text. Now we want to put data which is given by user input. So we have selected this text box one and we will attach to it. The second thing is tag. What is tag? So let's understand. Whenever we are creating any object in our real-time database, name of that object is nothing but tag. So in front of that tag, we are putting the data or the values. So we have to give name. Let's understand. So I will give name as text because name is always in text. So tag name is what we are going to put user data. So I will just name it as user data. You can add space also, no problem. Okay. Now after that, what we want to do? We want to erase the user input. What will happen whenever you are typing any text in this text box? It will be remain as it is. Okay. It will not. You have to manually delete those text to put another user input. For that reason, what we will do whenever we click this button, we will automatically delete previously entered text in this text box. So to do that, what you have to do, you have to go to text box and select the set text box dot text to we have to make it empty. That means we have to delete it. So just attach this empty string. So what it will do, it will set that user input text. It will delete that and it will get empty automatically. Okay, that's it. Okay. Using only this logic, this only number of 1, 2, 3 logic blocks, you can send data on real-time database. The first application we have created. What we will do, I will just uh, connect it and we will give some user inputs and we'll check on real-time database. Always remember the project bucket. I will explain later in the session what is the purpose of this project bucket. For just time being, I will just delete it. Okay, make it empty. And uh, all the required components we have added now. Okay, Firebase we have added. We have created the user interface. We have created the backend also. Just wait a minute. Yes. Okay. Okay. I will just make this project bucket as empty. We have created user interface. We have created blocks also. So next thing is to connect our MITapp inventor. You must put this credentials. First credential is this URL. You have to put this URL in our MITapp inventor. And second is the token, which is database secret. You can see these fields here. You just have to click on Firebase DB1. Now after clicking, you can see the Firebase URL. The second is Firebase token. In Firebase URL, you have to delete the default text. Copy this one. You can right click and copy. Just click press Control C. And from there, just paste Control V. And earlier in the sessions, we have seen that in Arduino IDE, you have to remove this HTTPS and slashes and all. But in MIT App Inventor, you do not have to do anything. You just have to keep it as it is. Okay, just don't change anything. I'll just copy it again. Control C. Backspace Control V. Okay. After that, we have to set the database secrets. To get database secrets, we have to go to settings of real-time database, project settings, from their service accounts. The service accounts, you can find the database secrets. Just click on the show, and then after that, click on the copy secret. It will get copied. After that, just Control V, right click and paste. Now app is complete to interact with the real-time database. Now what I will do, I will connect this application with my Android phone, and we will send some user inputs to the real-time database and see what happens. Okay, let's just open the real-time database. The first user input I will give as IoT. Okay, I will just give IoT and send data. You can see that we have this data has been updated on real-time database. Now what I will do, I will give another data user input as number string 1230897. You can see that. After that, I will give as project. Okay, you can see that project has updated on the real-time database. Now what we will do, we will make a change. Okay, we will add some text to project bucket, and then we will understand what is the purpose of this project bucket. First, what I will do, I will give it as data. Okay, and click OK. And after that, I will give another input as bucket check. You can see that a new root branch has been created, and under that branch we have created this user data. See, so what I will do, I will make again change. I will add a forward slash and add values, and I will send text as number. You can see that under data section we have created the values, and under values we have created again user data. So you can simply understand by this example that what is the purpose of this project bucket. Using project bucket, you can create multiple branches from a root. Okay, there will be one root branch, and from there you can create just multiple branches. And at the lowest level branch, which is the in this case values, application will work on that level only. Okay, so if what if I add another data as numbers? Okay, it will create another branch, and I will just update the data again, number as 1 2 3 4 5. You can see that under data we have created values, and under values we have again created the numbers, and under number we have put this user data. So whenever we are adding any directory, you can say as a directory forward slashes, so we are creating root branches and the subroot branches also with that. And at the end branch, at the lowest branch, the application will work. Okay, means all the fields under the numbers will be only accessible to our app. All other uh, roots or the branches will not be available. The app only work in this level, number level, which is the last. So keep this in mind. After this, what we will do, I will just make it empty for simplicity. In complex projects, you may have to add project bucket. We have already added it. So understand the purpose of project bucket. Now after this, what we will do, I will just delete this, and we will start with our second application. In that, we will upload the sensor data, yesterday's application, the gyroscope sensor data, XYZ direction velocities on the real-time database, and we will observe the changes in the real-time database. Okay, so first thing is we will create new project. Purpose behind I'm doing repeating this process because you can understand it better. So that is the reason we can use yesterday's project also, but for better understanding I'm creating new project. So what I will do, gyroscope gyro to Firebase. We'll create this app. Okay, we'll first do this. Okay, we are not going to need any button. I'll just create a user interface first. First thing is we'll add some distance from the top edge, do some pixels as 20, and remove this text. After that, I will again add new, new label. Make the text font size as 30. I will change the width as percentage in 100. Make text alignment as center, and I will change text to gyro to Firebase. Gyro to Firebase. You can see this here. After this, we will add another distance. I'll just make it again 20 pixels. Just remove this text. Quickly, I will add 3 more. Sorry, you must add the layout, okay, to align 2 labels in a row. So we will take the layout first. 3 layouts we are going to need. From in that layout, we have to add the labels. I'm just repeating the yesterday's procedure that we already have performed yesterday. Just you have to click on this horizontal arrangement first to change property related to this layout. I will make the width as 100%. You have to do it for all the layouts. After that, we'll change the properties related to these labels. First, make the font size as 20. I recommend use 20 because it is very clear, visible to eyes. That is the reason. And change the text as x direction, velocity. X velocity. Make width as 50% for symmetry. Text alignment as center. Now, second thing is, first we want to print the variable data which is going to change time to time. So we are going to need this variable label the backend. So we'll first rename it as x dir. X dir means x direction. Similarly for this, okay, we'll later do it. First we'll change the properties related to this label x direction. Make the font as 20, width as 50% again, and the text alignment as center. And just make it empty text for now. It will automatically get filled when the sensor values are received. We have to do it for all the labels. I will quickly do it. Y direction, Y velocity. So make the font size as 20, text alignment as center. Font size is 20, width as 50%, text alignment as center. Make it empty. Again, same for this. Font size is 20, text alignment center. Give them as Z direction. So velocity. And after that, make the width as 50%. Text alignment as center. We'll change the label names also. Rename as ydir underscore dir and zdir. Okay, the user interface has created, and we will quickly go to the backend. Before we go to backend, what non-visible components we are going to need? First one is the Firebase. After that, from sensors to clock. Okay. Yesterday there was one question how we can create delay less than 1 second. So yesterday I told that tomorrow I will tell you. So to generate delay less than 1 second, you have to click on this clock icon. Okay. And from there you can see the time interval as 1000. So 1000 means 1000 millisecond. So whenever we are calling this function clock counter for one time, it will generate the delay of 1 second. So to make or the give say input or the counter input from in milliseconds, you just have to change it. Okay. Instead of 1000, you can make it 1 millisecond. So in blocks, you can give 500, 5000 for generating delay of 5 seconds and respectively. Okay. So this input is in milliseconds. So when I will give this as 1000, it will generate the delay of 1 second whenever we are calling this timer function. When we call this, whenever we are enabling this, to call this function, we have to enable it to true. Whenever we are calling this function, it will generate the 1 second delay. So simply to generate delay of less than 1 second, you must give value to 1 millisecond, and in the loops you can iterate it for 5,000 times. Okay, so it will generate the delay of 5 seconds, and respectively if you give 100, it will generate delay of 100 milliseconds. Okay, our user interface has been created. Now what we will do, we'll just uh, repeat the yesterday's code. Okay. From clock, what I will do, I will just take this, and in variables you have to create a global variable. I will give name as counter, and we will assign this as to 1. Now we want to put the update the values every 3 seconds. So instead of creating the if and everything, what I will do, I will just go to designer, I think there is some issue with the server, it is not loading. I will just refresh it again. Okay, instead of creating the if condition and all, what I will do, instead of 1 millisecond, I will put it as 3000 milliseconds. So once you call this function, it will generate the delay of 3 seconds. So you do not need to increment and decrement. I will just delete this global variable. To save the time, I'm doing this. So what we are going to do, we have to put this in front of x velocity, where we need x velocity values. So to do that, just click on this x dir and set text. We have to select set text here, and after that we haven't taken the sensor as gyroscope. We will take gyroscope and have to select this x angular velocity. I'll just simply copy it, duplicate it, change the labels as y direction and z direction respectively. I will change here also. Now first thing we have to do is we have to check whether the sensor is present or not. So whenever screen is initialized, you have to click on screen. Screen is initialized. We want to check if the sensor is present or not. So we'll use this control if then else. And from there we'll check gyroscope sensor is dot available or not. If it is available, it will return true. Okay. In this if condition, we are putting this gyroscope dot available. It will return true if this sensor is present in your smartphone. Okay, and then if the sensor is present, then it will execute the code or the blocks under then, or if there is no sensor available in the smartphone, it will just execute blocks under the else. So we will add the notification from layout notifier. What is the notification we want to give? To give notification, you have to click on this notifier icon, and from there select this. You have to scroll down a little, choose dot show alert. You have to drag it, duplicate it, and put it here also in else part. The first notice you want to do is a sensor detector. I will just duplicate it and I will put no sensor detected. Or simply I will just change it to no sensor found. And after that, we want to initialize the clock. So we can set the values. So to initialize the clock or the counter, we have to enable it. So if the sensor is present, we will enable it. To get this clock.timer enabled, you have to click on clock, scroll down, you will find it here. From after that, you have to set to true if you want to initialize it or call it simply. Set to true. I will just duplicate it. So we will first understand the logic of these clores and we will add the logic for to send this data to Firebase. So whenever screen is initializing, we will check for the sensor. If the present sensor detected will show on your screen. If not, it will show no sensor found. If the sensor is present, we are enabling or the calling the timer function. It will call this when.timer function. And in that function, we have created this set dot x direction, y direction, and z direction respectively. In that, we have adding or receiving the values from the sensor. So when these blocks of code will be executed, we are again calling it this timer. Okay. So after 3 seconds, again we are calling it. Okay. It will repeat this lines of codes for 3 seconds, means for infinite time after 3 seconds. Now what we will do? We will add Firebase also. To add Firebase data to Firebase, we already have seen. We have to select this dot store tag, and in that we are going to add this x direction. And simply I will just take a string. I'll tell you again. From Firebase, you have to select. If you want to store any data from MIT App Inventor to the Firebase, select this one, dot store value. Now you have to give the tag in what uh, in front of which object you want to put this data. So I will give as x direction, x velocity, sorry, velocity, and enter. So it will create this object under this null object, okay, x direction, y direction, and z direction respectively. So what I will do, I will just copy it, duplicate it, change the fields as y direction and z direction. Change it to y and z. Simple. Okay. Our application has been created now. This is all we need. So what I will do, I'll just quickly connect it with my smartphone and then we will go to Firebase to observe the data. Sensor detected, it is showing. We can see there is no, let me check the rules. It is true. Okay, I'll just, okay. We forgot to, sorry, I just forgot to add these credentials. I thought I have already added, I added in that previous application. I will just copy it, Control C, Control F. Now you can see that changes. Okay, I'm moving my phone. You can see that the real time changes. Okay, you can see the data is being updated. Now what I will do, I will just delete it. Now the second part is we are going to receive data from Firebase. I'll just close this app. I will create new project. Okay, you can see that real-time data. We saw that change. Okay, as I move my phone. We'll just delete this. Now what we are going to do, we are going to receive data from Firebase to Android application. So first thing we will give Firebase name as Firebase to MIT app. Give any name you want. Firebase to MIT app. Now we'll quickly do that because we have to make another application also. So what I will do, I'll just create a label and put it into center. Okay, now this label is in the center of the mobile screen. We'll make the font size as 35. Just make it 45. So all the participants will be, it will be visible for all the participants. I'll just make it empty. I will align the text to center. Okay, that's it. This is the interface. And then we will add the Firebase. So basically what we are going to do, we are going to give the input, manual input to the Firebase here, and we will observe that we have received the data at the application. I will try to show the received data from the camera. Okay. The first thing we forgot to do, we will do in first here. I'll just add URL, Control C, that database secrets. Show, copy, Control N, Control, and after that, just go to blocks. And after going to blocks, what do we want to do? Select Firebase. Select this first one, dot data change. So whenever we are changing any data on the real-time database, this function will call automatically. So I will just drag it. Now we are going to need the if condition. I will simply tell you why. From there, we are going to compare. For comparison, I'll just simply show you. Go to logic to compare any number or string. Select this one and add to if. So first thing we are going to compare is get tag. So this is the first argument. So get tag will return all the tags. Tags means all the objects. So earlier we saw this x velocity, y velocity. These are the tags. So it will return all the tags when we call this get tag function. And what we are going to compare with, I will give as Firebase data from Firebase. From Firebase. We'll create this object in real-time database. So what I will do, I will just make it Firebase. from Firebase. Put some string as hello. I will add it. Okay. And if the tag is equals to this from database object, means we are checking all these objects. See, what is the reason we are doing this? Because there can be possibility of having multiple objects or the branches. So if you want to select the particular branch or the object, for example, temperature, moisture, and you want to display in respective field, so you are going to need this if condition. And in if condition, we are going to check this tag is the tag we want. So that is the reason we have put this condition. So it will check for this from Firebase object. If it is present in real-time database, it will retrieve data from that tag. Now, second thing is we have to select this label. There is only one label. That's the reason I have not renamed it. I will just set label.text to. I will add it here. And from values, you have to get value. You have to drag it and simply click it. Okay. Get tag, you can click on tag and get tag, drag this, you can put it here. Application is complete. Now we are able to receive the string from the Firebase or the text, any data. I'll go to designer, just simply connect my smartphone. You can see that we have written the hello. Is it visible now? Uh, I think it is not visible, but it is showing hello on my smartphone. What I will do, I will just, yes, is it visible? Okay. What I will do, I will just increase the font size so everyone can observe the data. I just click on the label. There's a font size to 60. Now it is 60. Is it visible? Please answer in the chat box. Decrease the mobile brightness, sir. Okay, okay. Now is it visible? Please answer in the chat box. Is it visible? Yes, sir. Okay. Now what I will do, I will simply change the data and you can observe the change in the my smartphone. I will make a number 1254. Is it visible? 1254. Okay. So we are receiving data from Firebase to Android application. So I will change it again to IoT space internship. Yeah, I'll just give it as IoT. Is it visible? Okay. So we'll make few more changes as I'll just put thanks and press enter. You can see that. Okay. So we are receiving data from Firebase to Android application. So this data can be anything, sensor data. So we earlier we saw that how we can send the sensor data to Firebase using ESP8266. So using Firebase and MIT App Inventor, we can observe real-time data changes which are happening at the physical end, maybe device side. So we can receive that data from the ESP8266. We can send that data to Firebase and receive it into Android application. So we can observe the real-time data. So what we will do now, next part is, so we seen how to send data from MIT App Inventor to the Firebase. We also saw how to receive data from Firebase to MIT App Inventor and observe it, how to observe it. And what we will do, we will make a simple project that we will do both the things in a single application. We will send the data also, we will receive the data also. So we will send data to the ESP8266, and from data we will control the LED of ESP8266 module. Okay, so there are going to be two buttons, on and off, LED on and LED off, and from those buttons we are going to control LED of ESP8266. And from ESP8266 we are going to receive a random number or integer from serial monitor. We are going to observe it in our Android application. So both the things we earlier learned in this session, we are going to implement that same thing in a single application, and we will perform it. Okay, we will start with that application first now. Create new project, ESP Firebase MIT. So we are going to integrate all three things. That is the reason I have given this name, ESP Firebase and MIT. So I will simply open it. We will quickly make the user interface. What I will do, I will just add the label first, make it empty. I will increase the height as 20%, and after that I will add the text as ESP control. We are going to control ESP from this application. That is the reason I have put this text. I'll make it center, increase the width to 100%, and font size as 35. Okay. After this, what I will do, I will add a layout. Before layout, I will just add this label to maintain the distance between ESP control text and this layout. I'll make the height of 20 pixels and make the string as null. And in that, we are going to put two labels again. The first label is going to be data, ESP data. So we are receiving data from ESP. So I will make this name as ESP data. So data can be anything, temperature, moisture. Okay, you can give any name you want. We'll make the text alignment as center, make width as 50% for symmetry. First select the horizontal arrangement, make the width as 100%. We'll make the width for this level is 50% and make the text as null. Text alignment center, font size 20. I will just, what I will do, I will just make it larger so all the participant can see the values change. So I'll make it 35. Same for this one, ESP data. So all the data we are going to receive from ESP, we are going to observe the front of ESP data object here. So after this, what we will do, we will add again label to maintain the distance, make it empty, and I will give height, manual height as 20 pixels. Maybe I will make it 30. It depends upon the screen size or the user interface you are going to create, and I will simply add two buttons. I will again maintain the distance between two buttons also. Give height as 10 pixels. What I will do, I will just make it to the center. First, LED on. Second button is LED off. I will increase the font size as 20. I'll just make it 25. And for this one also, like font size as 25. Increase the width as 100%. It is in center now. And I'll make the width for this one also 100%. Now what we'll do, we'll for just user interface, we are going to change the color of this button. So LED on means green. I'll change it to green. And LED off means red. I'll just change it to red. So on means red, off means, sorry, on means green and off means red. After that, we'll change name so we can use these buttons in the back end. So rename it as, this is the second button, so I will rename it as off button, off underscore button. I'll just rename this one also on button underscore on button. After that, we are going to need this label also, this, because we are going to receive data from ESP266 and we are to put that data in this label. So I will just rename it as ESP data. Data. ESP data. Fantastic. So user interface has been created now. Now what I will do? I will just go to blocks. Simply now what we want to do? We want to send this. Whenever we are going to click on this button, we are going to send true, and when we are going to send off command, we are going to set as off. So simply we will do that. Just click on the on button. I'll just duplicate it. Okay. So we took this button. I'll change it to off button. So we have taken the all two buttons. First thing we are going to do is we haven't added Firebase. Okay. We'll add Firebase. I'll remove the project bucket and we'll put the URL also. Control C, Control V, Control A, storage settings, service accounts. From there, just copy it. Control V. Okay. And the blocks, just select this Firebase, scroll down and select store value because we are going to put or the same data from application to the Firebase. So I will just duplicate it. What is the tag? Tag will be, tag can be anything. You can put anything. I will just put as LED state underscore state. So duplicate it. So it will create a new object in real-time database as LED state. And what I will do, I'll just add another string as this. Duplicate it. Whenever we are pressing on button, we want to send as true, TRUE. We are going to receive that in ESP266 and then we are going to compare that. And from after when click for off button, we are going to send false. So false. So now what I will do, I will create the same duplicate object. I will tell you the reason and make it as button paste. Button check. I will not discussed about this block now. When we are going to talk about the Arduino code, then I will talk about this condition. Okay, what it does. I'll make it just true. TRUE. It is just used to identify that we have pressed the button. As here RUE. True. Now the next thing is we are going to receive data from ESP8266. That means from Firebase to MIT App Inventor. I will click on it. Dot data change. You have to select this one. You have to select the control. Select the if, and then to compare the object, select this one. And from tag, get this get tag. Now, from which object we are going to receive data? I will just make it as ESP underscore data, and simply we will put to ESP data. Value as get value. Okay, code is complete. It is partially complete. There are some components also we are need to add. What I will do, I'll just first we will connect this app and see what happens first, and then we will talk about the ESP8266 code. Okay, hope you can see the application. Is it visible? Okay. Is it visible? Okay, you can see the user interface we have created, the green and red button. Now what I will do, I'll just simply click on it. You can see that LED state is true when we press this on button. And after we press off button, you can see the LED state change to off. I think, okay, by mistake I put this true. What we need is this. I will check one. Just delete this. You can see that we change the data, true and false. Now we are going to receive that data in ESP8266 and going to compare. And according to this commands sent from MIT App Inventor, we are going to turn on and off LED. So what I will do, there is time, this time is remaining. So I will just discuss the code. Because I was going to write the code, but there is no more time left. So what I will do, I'll just discuss this code. The above code from void loop is the common for everyone, every project. You can see that Wi-Fi related code and the credential is there. Okay, nothing new is there. You just have to copy for every project. You just have to copy this one. Okay. So what we are going to do here, we are setting this as first in void loop. We are reading this RC data one, okay, received data one. So from there we are reading this button check. So what is button check? We are checking if button is pressed or not. And after that we are checking if the RC data one is true. Okay. So if it is returning true, it means we have pressed the button. and else we are not doing anything. There is no else condition for this condition, for this if condition. And if the button is pressed, we are checking the LED state and we are comparing that with this one. So if the LED means we have turned on the LED, it will compare with this true and it will print true and it will light the on LED from ESP266. I will just quickly connect the ESP266. Then I will upload this code. While it is uploading, we will discuss the following code. If we have received the false for LED check, LED state, that means we have to turn off the LED. So D0 pin is inverted. If we write high, it means low for the physical voltage. And after that, we are setting as button check as false. Okay. So what is the reason for this? We will talk tomorrow in the session. Some part from MITAP inventor is remaining. We'll check first this. Then we will talk the remaining part tomorrow. Data from ESP. What I will do, I will change this field in MITAP inventor. What we will do, put this one. Let's reset it. Okay. So what I will do, the serial data is available. We are sending that data which is available in serial port to this object, data from ESP266. In the same data we have read in MITAP inventor. See, from Firebase, it will ESP266 will create this object, data from ESP, and we are going to read this and put the same as data in front of ESP data. So what I will do, I'll just simply open the serial monitor and the Firebase simultaneously, so we can observe the changes. Okay. I will give input as date number 1569. I will hit enter and we'll observe the changes. You can see that 1569. You can see that here also, the Android application. I will give the data as 7896. You can see that changes 78696. Okay, we are receiving this data from ESP266 to Firebase, and from Firebase we are receiving it an Android application. So I will give any string also, hello, and I will hit enter and see that change, hello. Okay, now what I will do, I will press LED on and LED off and you will be able to see the changes. See, LED has turned on. Now I will make it off. LED has turned off. I'm pressing these buttons. I'll make it turn on. It has turned on. I'll make it off. It has been turned on, off. what I will do, I will press again off, see what happens. The same things we have printed. Okay, now LED on. See the LED on. So tomorrow in the session, we will talk about this button check and this serial available. Okay, how we are putting data from ESP8266. We are going to collect data from microcontroller, which is PIC18F4520, and we are going to receive that data into ESP8266 as we did it manually now. Okay, and then we are going to put same data, for example, non-liquid level measurement, that data in the Firebase, and we are going to read that data into Android application. We'll talk tomorrow about this button check also. What is the purpose of this button check? Okay. So what I will do, I will just end the today's session, and session is forum is open for question and answer. We'll start from the beginning. I will just share all the apps we have created in .aif file format. I will share in resource material. From there you can download it and import it in your platform, and just you can check with that. Sir, decimal please. In gyroscope, I think your question is related to gyroscope because the number was too large after the decimal point. You can decrease it using this feature available in the MIDAP inventor. I'll just quickly show you that. The text, you can see that segment of string you can select, and text you have to put. For example, in case of gyroscope, I will just include this as from sensors gyroscope. And you can attach this to string text. Okay, from there you can give start as from maths numbers. Okay, I want to start from first character, and I want to end in at, for example, sixth character. So it will only display the first six characters, including decimal point. Okay, and you just have to attach to store value to store here. Simply you have to do that. So you can put the segment of data. So please explain the backend of this application once again. Firebase to Android app. Firebase to Android. Okay, Firebase to Android. So in case of Firebase to Android, we have to choose this block from Firebase. You have to choose this dot data change. And whenever we are going to any data when changed on the real-time database, it can be manually it can change. It can be changed automatically from ESP8266. It doesn't matter. Whenever data is changing on the real-time database, this function will get called. Okay, and after that, whatever operations you want to perform after data changed in the real-time database, you have to add it here. So what we are going to do here first is we have added this if condition. Okay, now in if condition, what I want to do, I want to compare from which object. There are multiple objects here. You can see button check, data from ESP, LED state. Okay, so if you want to take data from this particular object, for example, I want to take data from button check. So I have to put this, I have to get tag and compare it with the button check. And after that, you have to set that to text variable. So it will set this label variable, you can see that ESP, the data available in front of button check. Okay. That is the reason we have put this if condition. So there can be multiple objects, for example, moisture, temperature. So I will put temperature here, it will display only temperature data. Okay. You don't want to do that, you want to don't mix the data interchange. Okay. Suppose you want to observe the temperature data and you are observing the moisture data. It should not happen. So that is the reason we are comparing and then setting data here. So in case of moisture, you can just get tag and compare it with the moisture or the object available here. And the data in front of that object you can set. Why project bucket is empty? What is the use of project bucket? Project bucket is used to create multiple branches from a root branch. I already have shown you in the earlier session that this is the root branch, and in this branch if you want to create, I will just uh, show you that. I'll add this root branch. I will add it again here, sub branch. I will add again data. Simply add some value. Okay. So this hierarchy we have created here, this root branch, subroot branch, and in that subroot branch we have created this data. We can simply make it using this project bucket. So to do the same thing, you have to write this root branch here and root branch. And after that, you have to add a forward slash and you have to give second branch name you want to create to this branch, root branch, sub branch. Simply the next one is data. So same thing we have created manually. You can do it automatically using project bucket. You can create multiple branches. So that is the use of project bucket. Why do we have what to do if we have multiple values we want to store in different path in Firebase? And see here, we have selected. I'll just for simplicity, what I will do, I'll just delete this one. In the both cases, you can see that we have overwritten these values true and false to the same object. You can see that LED state, LED state. So if you want to write data to a different path, you simply what you can do, you can just add another name here. Okay. By adding simply the another name, you can create another path. And you want to create an entire different path, then you must add this project bucket and at the lowest, which is data in this case, in the lowest level, your app will operate. Okay, it will take data from that branch. For example, your app will operate in sub branch. Okay, whatever objects available under the sub branch will be available, or the access will be available for your application. Why project bucket is empty at the time of LED on off control by mobile app? You can make it. It doesn't matter you add or not. Okay. See, if I have added the project bucket at the time of LED on or off, okay, if I do this project bucket, all these LED state button check objects created here will get added here under the sub branch. And the same thing we have to do in the ESP code. We have directly checking the button check and the LED state. Okay, so we have to give the forward slash before LED, and we have to write the same repository here also. So what is the, you have to copy this one, Control C, and you have to put here, Control V. Okay, so we are giving the address. So that is the reason. You can do with this bucket or not, it doesn't matter. You can add anything in the bucket, but just you have to make sure that you are doing the same thing in the Arduino code to read that data in front of this object. Suppose first value from sub branch. So that's why I have told you the app only can operate in one level. Your app access to only one level. You cannot operate in multiple levels because there are no multiple buckets are available. You can see that no multiple buckets are available here. Only one project bucket is there. You will not be able to read the values simply. How can we send data to spreadsheet like Google Sheet or personal website in tabular form from Firebase for monitoring purpose? So there are two methods I know. One is you can create a code using ESP8266 that directly can whatever data you are putting on real-time database, you can copy it in spreadsheet and later you can download it. And another method is in real-time database. There is one option to export JSON. So whatever the current data available, this JSON format, you can export it and you can observe it. Okay. But all the data which is currently available, only you can export it. The previous values you will be not available. So that is the reason. The first method I recommend for you if you want to observe previous data also. And there are other platforms like Adafruit.io, and there is one another, I forgot the name. So you can observe and store the real-time values also. That out of current branch, other value is not access. Yes, yes, it will work in the same lowest level of the branch. So sub branch after sub branch, uh, it will not operate. It's the access to real-time database. You will not be able to access other objects. You can only access objects under this sub branch. Yes. Any other questions? Tomorrow we will understand what is the purpose of this button check and what will happen if we not add this button check in our code and application. So we will first understand that, and then we will what we will do, we will see a video also of ESP8266 data transmitting to sorry, peak microcontroller data we have received in ESP8266, and we have put it the same data in real-time database, and from there we will observe that data in Android application. So we'll see that video tomorrow. Firebase works on JSON format only. So that is the reason we have to put the data in JSON format. There are other clouds available. You can put the data in other tabular or the query format, I think. So there is one option available in AWS IoT, but before doing that, you must send that data on in JSON format to AWS IoT also, and after that you can convert it in tabular form in AWS IoT. There is a database called DynamoDB, which you can integrate with the AWS IoT. So whatever data coming into AWS IoT, you can interchange with the DynamoDB. So you can store that data in tabular form. Yes, MySQL. And there is one option also in Firebase, Firestore. And see here, Firestore. It is used to store the data, user data, whatever data you want to store, you can use Firestore. But to access Firestore, your account must be premium. You have to pay money. Okay. And to use this, you can integrate real-time database with the Firestore database using this function. If I click on function, you will see this upgrade the project. So you have to add your credit card credential and all. Okay. And there are resources available. If you want those resources, I'll provide. So what functions you can add in this function module available on Firebase? Any other questions? Okay. I think questions are over. I will end today's session. Thank you, everyone.